Hi there, my name is Joel Chacha, and I'm the director here at Portland Communication. And apart from Portland Communication, I serve as a board member at the Marketing Society of Kenya. We also double up as the chair of the Marketing Gala Committee. Apart from that, also, I serve as a judge of a jury, the PR Global Week Awards. Yes, and apart from that, I'm a lovely dad of two sons, Mio and Abe. So my personal journey has been marred by, perseverance, resilience, and an insatiable curiosity for storytelling. And at a very tender age, when I was in class 4, my sister used to be a journalist at KBC, and I used to wonder what she's always doing on TV. And she told me she's a journalist, and all she does is, she goes out there and collects stories and tells us. And after that, another cousin of mine called Richard Chacha and Tom Mosoba, and now even my nephew, all of us, it's like the whole clan did journalism. If you guys came to visit me where we currently live, we're all very loud people and very like telling stories. And I think that's what really defined my path or choosing the journalism career. Then also growing up in a family of 10 kids, where I'm the 8th born, really enabled me up to date to be able to, work along different personalities and of different ages. Oh yes, so what inspired me to choose USIU was the dynamic journalism program it offers, and also the practicability. A lot of the universities here will be doing a lot of theory, and for you to be a journalist, for you to tell very impactful stories, you really need to start practicing at a very during your uni years. A lot of the employers out here are looking for people with experience. So if you know too much theory but you don't know how to do some of the practicability, then that would be a bit of a challenge. Right now, I could already foresee those convergence of the newsroom, where a lot of reporters will be required to know how to edit, to know how to use the cameras, to know how to report. So it's a university that was going to offer me those 3 skills, and I felt like that was the ideal place to also join. And I also felt like it's a very chilled out, yes, very academic focus, but also very chilled. It has a lot of people, so it exposes you to different cultures, different people from other continents. Actually, I did meet my wife at USIU, who was an exchange student from Sweden. So therefore, it also exposes you. It's university take you places. When I graduated, I moved to Sweden for quite some time. Also, a bit of exposure, and I'd say that was part of the reason. Education took me to Sweden, from an exchange student. But it's good because you see, currently where I work, we have people from different, we have 8 different hubs. So therefore, having been in USIU where we had students from other regions, and we did a lot of, group work together. So then it was a very easy blend for me to work in an organization like Portland. Even some of my colleagues, also, 2 of them are from USIU. So it has been very easy for them. It was just like a plug and play, because you're used to it in uni, where you used to do a lot of teamwork, used to do a lot of presentations. I've seen a lot of other universities where they struggle a bit, especially in presentation, because they're not exposed to that. Then also if they find a bit of mzungus wanaogopa, kisi tumewazoea bana, tulikuwa nao shuleni, tulisoma nao. Wengine tulioa, tukaachana. My best experience, I'd say, was the exposure that USIU gave to me, especially at a very tender age, as I was, learning in school. When I was in my second year, or sophomore, as we call it there, I did get an opportunity to join Kenya, KTN, Kenya Television Network, as a reporter trainee. And that was because of the kind of exposure we got. The then managing editor came to give us a talk. I was very inquisitive during his session, and then that's how I got offered this opportunity, which now gave me an edge, because a lot of employers are looking for people with experience. Where are you going to get experience? Yes, I worked at Radio USIU, where I had a very good talk show, which was great, because then what that did is it gave me those skills of news writing and reporting, because we do a lot of stories for USIU Radio. And when I ventured into the newsroom, then it made it a bit easier. It was just, what was needed was just a bit of panel beating, and after that everything just flowed seamlessly. So with that kind of exposure, then, it gave me an edge in the newsroom. You go into the newsroom, you join, after you've done your 3 piece to camera, you've already been approved to, start doing sign-offs on TV. That was one of the greatest moments, where I'd be signing off and my mom, everyone in the village would be screaming, "Joel, Chacha, KTN live at 1." I used to also watch it, but sometimes you don't sound the same. That was very different, because my mom or my grandmother sometimes would call me, like, "I hear someone using your name, but is that you?" Because sometimes, how we voice our stories is very different. Yeah, but that was one of the best moments I had at USIU, where I was still a student, and then at 7 o'clock, where maybe you'd be having dinner at Fifi's and people are watching your story. They're like, "Wait, Chacha, is that you?" Yeah, that was one of my best moments ever. And people now start hustling you for drinks at Fifi's on Thursdays, because they've seen you on TV. What I'd do is I'd buy one task and tell everyone to share. You sip and pass. Yeah, but I did have fun at USA. It was a great moment. Exposed you to a lot of ththings, because it just doesn't nurture you academically. Also, it exposes you to real life experiences, because you're living in the hostels. You learn, you're able to juggle a few things. There's also partying. So then you're exposed to different things. And, with that kind of exposure, then I was able to work with big brands like, Coca-Cola. I launched Coke Studio across Africa, because then you knew what was hip, and also shared a few classes with some of these celebrities who are musicians out there. Some of the journaling classes also I've shared with people who are doing great things out there. Abdul Latif is the East Africa correspondent for New York Times. There is Asha Mwilu, who has been doing very great. She now has since started her own newsroom, or an online platform that's churns out a lot of editorial content. There's John Allen Namu. There's Collins, who's the Guardian. I mean, the list is endless. There's myself. We've scooped a number of awards: Best PRSK Awards of the Year, Best Campaign of the Award of the Year. And last year, I was named among the top 30 men in PR and the top 52 PR practitioners in Kenya. So USIU has really taken me places. As I rightly said, I mean, I've worked with a number of USIU alumni, guys who were, people who were classmates with, because I've worked at Telem, I've worked at KTN, where I worked with the likes of Shemo Lochiri, who was great, one of the best political reporters. And this also started from USIU-Africa. You'd find Shem in USIU-Africa reporting, live on TV like Muhammad Ali. Then a few years later, me, Shem, and Muhammad Ali, who's now an MP of Nyali, are in the newsroom also just making fun. So, it really, just apart from academia, also USIU-Africa and the kind of activities that USIU offers really prepares you for the industry. And also, I've seen a lot of people, because I've worked at Telem Public Relations, where I was the GM and Chief Strategist. I've worked at Ogilvy and now at Portland. One of the things I've seen, even when we're recruiting, during the recruitment phase, you can find someone with a very good GPA from other universities, but then they don't have the confidence to present. And a lot in our business, we do a lot of pitching, where you pitch, in front of, sometimes you get into a room full of 20 people ready to ask you questions. So if you don't have that kind of confidence, and yet you have the papers, then sometimes there's a huge mismatch. If I've seen other people from other universities. So the GPA is great, yes, but they can't express themselves. So that's one of the things that USIU really offered people. So there's a lot of confidence, people are willing to ask questions, because when we have brainstormers agencies, sometimes we even get ideas from the intern, someone who just recently recruited, and you could see when you get even interns from USIU, these people are very aggressive. They're willing to give in, chip in ideas. And in my previous agency, actually, we got a very cool idea from one of the intern, and the intern was from USIU. So the idea was very brilliant. And sometimes we overthink ideas. The simpler it is, the better it is. But sometimes, because you've been in the industry for too long, where you're not thinking outside the box. So that's why even when you're onboarding people, try to onboard people who can add value to your organization. One of the biggest impact I've made in my life, and this was really nurtured from USIU, was from the comm service. Before you graduate, was where we're giving back to society. And during my com service, there was a lot of impactful stories that we could tell from the children's home that we are at. And from that, it has since morphed to what we currently do, as strategic comms experts. What we try to do for our clients is, because of the shrinking news hole, a lot of clients nowadays are looking for people who can tell impactful stories, and impactful stories is what will sell. So we're looking to tell very nice impactful stories about what companies are doing, what's in it for me. If you're talking about women economic empowerment, what are you doing for women? If you're talking about financial literacy, what are you doing, and how impactful has your comms strategy been? So that's what I currently do. And this started off from USIU, where after the comms service, a lot of us who were doing journalism would write some of these stories in the news, in the USIU publication, which was very impactful. And you'd find some of these homes really got a lot of donation from different corporates, from the story that we told. When people are graduating, when you got the magazine, or what is it called, the yearbook, some of these stories were told. So that's how it started, and that's how it's been. Because now the news hole is shrinking. Therefore, a lot of companies need to also change from just trying to sell a product or a service to showing how you're impacting people out there. Yes, I think a lot of people who are doing great things across the world. Look at Food for Education. It started off as a passion. So when you mix your passion and talent, then you're able to go far, because you're not doing it for money. If you talk to Awira, that's how she started off. She started off just feeding a few people with the food that was left out. And this was from a personal story, and Food for Education has now received a lot of global recognition across the world. So don't start off something, and that's even in journalism. A lot of people would start off because they think, I'm on TV, I'm going to make money. If that's what your drive is, then I think you're following the wrong path. So first, is it your passion? Is it your talent? Follow your passion, follow your talent, then you'll create a lot of impact. Another thing I'd say is, with the advent of social media and the internet being very pervasive in Kenya, there's a lot of pressure out there, people posting fake things. What I'd say is, be inspired, but never be intimidated. Be inspired by people who are doing greater things, but never be intimidated. Everyone has their own journey. I was watching another clip where someone was talking about her journey. Back in the day as a child, traveling down to Isibania, where you're in a bus, and there are a lot of stages, because I used to drop off for the last stage. And sometimes I'd be like, man, I wish our shags was in Naivasha, because it didn't take that long. But you see, everyone has their journey. And now if you travel down to Isibania, it's one of the green places. We have recently discovered gold. So take your own journey, tighten up your belt, focus on where you're heading.